patients safe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Senator Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to you and the ranking member for holding this committee hearing. As Senator Warren said, it's a very important hearing, and any of us who have known or loved someone in a nursing home knows that while the care that they get when it's good can be quite exceptional, that when things do suffer, it really, really affects the quality of life for those who are sometimes languishing in our nursing homes. And to your point, Ms. McMahon, surviving instead of thriving, and that's not what we should want for any of our elderly folks. So I would sort of two lines of questioning, and I want to direct it at Ms. Williamson here. One, just on my understanding here is that staffing shortages play a major role in what's driving the lack of inspections and probably driving a lot of other issues in our nursing homes as well. But we'll sort of understand the basic qualifications here. So when we talk about the people doing these inspections, what qualifications do they need to have before applying to a job with your particular agency?
Thanks for that question, Senator Vance. So there are several different disciplines of surveyors, but the primary thing I would like to talk about is that when we do a recertification survey, and many of our complaint investigations, our recertification surveys, and those require a registered nurse. Every survey team has to have a registered nurse as part of that team. And then if the complaints are about quality of care where nursing assessment needs to be conducted, a registered nurse has to conduct those investigations as well. We do utilize other disciplines. Part of our survey process is also a life safety code survey or a fire safety survey. So we have to have surveyors who are trained and have that background in order to assess compliance with those regulations. Many other disciplines are social workers or physical therapists, other disciplines outside of that registered nurse, but the primary struggle states are having is in registered nurse.
I see. And how big are the survey teams normally? You mentioned each one needs to have at least one registered nurse. I mean, are these teams of 10, of 5, of less or more?
So the team size depends on several factors: how large the home is, how many residents are in care at the home, the numbers of complaints that we may have to investigate during that survey, and then how much travel we have to do,
Sure.
how many resources we have to take. Normally, a team of 3 or 4 over a work week is average for a recertification survey.
Got it. So moving on from there, I just wanted to ask about maybe a possible COVID hangover effect. And I'm right that a lot of the backlog here is because we effectively stopped doing inspections for a few months during the COVID pandemic. That's correct?
That is certainly a contributing factor.
Okay. And are you seeing any evidence of sort of a potential COVID hangover effect? And what I mean, of course, is that we just declared an end to the emergency, I think far too late, but at least the declaration happened a week or two ago. Is there any sense that the people who would be doing the inspections or maybe a little exhausted, a little overwhelmed, certainly by the pandemic, but also even well after the pandemic had reached its emergency phase end, were affected by a lot of the requirements and a lot of the regulations that existed on caretakers and inspectors related to the pandemic rules?
So while the pause certainly was a contributing factor, we have also seen a significant increase in number of complaints that have been reported to us. I mentioned earlier the number of immediate jeopardy complaints since 2015 has increased by 102%. So those are the complaints where residents, allegations are residents are being harmed, severely harmed. So investigating those complaints day after day does lead to exhaustion and
Sure.
burnout and stress on surveyors.
Sure. And I suspect, just to close here, that the caregivers themselves are probably exhausted, and as you lose the best caregivers, it probably increases the complaints you're going to get because the underlying quality of care deteriorates. And the final point I'd make here, and I appreciate, Ms. Williamson, your answers, and I appreciate the four of you for being here with us, is, look, COVID was obviously a very terrible pandemic. I don't mean to make light of it or make light of the fact that it killed a lot of people. But I also think that we have to balance the public health response with the incredible stresses that we place on a lot of our public health and hospital and nursing home caregivers, because a consistent theme that I get is that COVID was miserable, but also all of the surrounding things that were placed on us because of COVID, or at least allegedly because of COVID, were also miserable. And I think we lost a lot of good people in our healthcare industry. So we're going to have a pandemic, God forbid, but we will eventually. Hopefully it's many, many years from now. But I hope we learn the lessons and don't overstress our healthcare system again, because I think you all and certainly other parts of our healthcare system are dealing with the consequences. Thank you.
Senator Ricketts.